the vast majority of people that we see will either have LLCs that are owned by one person that are disregarded for federal income tax purposes, or they will have a C Corp or C corporation that they've elected to be taxed as an S corporation, which is that special tax designation that allows a single layer of tax. It is most frequently what we see. But spoiler alert, and I'll kind of preview this for you and all the listeners as well, is that a lot of times there are S corporations that did not follow the rules, and so they may actually be C corporations in hiding.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, that's where I was going to go. I'm glad you brought that up. So, let's say that you are electing to be an S corp. You're thinking about an exit. You want to make sure that you've followed the rules. If you haven't followed the rules, can you get back on track to make sure that you're following the rules? Is it something that can be done retroactively, or once you've messed it up, it's messed up? Like, what needs to happen from a standpoint of if you're listening right now, going, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even know about these S corp rules. I just checked this box and filed taxes this way."
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'm going to give you the lawyer answer that everybody loves is it depends. It depends on what you did. Um, so there are some things which hopefully this calms some people's nerves, but there are some things that you can go back and correct. It used to be the case that when you had an S corporation that was what we call an inadvertent termination, right? They didn't follow the rules. They had a wrong type of shareholder. They made distributions that were not pro rata, etc. Right? You actually had to go to the IRS, spend lots and lots and lots of money to ask the IRS for an opinion specific to your company, saying, "Hey, can allow me to go and correct this." Now, the IRS at one point, at the height of this, was processing something like 30,000 requests a year. I mean, a lot of requests. And so they've given us some guidance to allow business owners to go back and correct some of these minor issues. It's a long way of saying, even if you have messed up, depending on what exactly you've done, you may be able to go back, correct for it, and document your file and be protected.
Well, and I think from my perspective, the reason we're talking offline, I'm putting on this intensive is for owners to maximize their value when they exit. And this is something that can really mess it up. Like if you haven't done this right,
Yes.
then it can mess it up late in the process. People go, "Oh, wait, hold on. This is not when it transitions. It's going to be a C corp or whatever's going to happen." I got a guy right now, and he's worried about contract labor staff, and so he's having his attorney review, make sure that none of those are actually W-2s. And so M&A has been treated as a game where you want to get a broker or an advisor and you want them to do the work and bring me an offer. It's like no. There's a lot of money on the stake on the table here, and so making sure that you have this set up right is the best. It's going to cost you money, but it's also the way that you maximize your value and you don't come up to the finish line and go, "Oh no, I could have fixed this, or I should have fixed this, or I couldn't have fixed this, and I need to know that before I want to sell." Now it changes what I want for valuation or how I'm doing stuff and or the tax bill. And so I don't think a lot of owners understand that. I'm sympathetic because I don't understand how to run a roofing company. I'm not a roofer, so I'm not. It's not disparaging. It's like there's so much that goes into this that if you don't do it right, you're just leaving money on the table, or the deal won't happen at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think that is hitting the nail right on the head. When I work with buyers on the buy side in a tax counsel capacity, the very, very first question I ask is the target an S corp? And if it is, then I have a whole set of questions that I begin working through and documents that I want to see to make sure that the seller has a valid S corporation. And so, and if they don't, what that leads to is a couple of different things. Either one, it's going to cost the seller more money because they have to go and restructure their company now in order to sell, right? Or um, alternatively, like they have to restructure the entire deal. Maybe they thought they were doing a stock sale, which is very good for sellers, but now have to restructure into an asset sale because the buyer realizes, gosh, I'm not getting what I thought I was getting. So it's all to say, as corporations, if not addressed early on in preparation for sales. right?
Yeah.
And you don't go through and you make sure that like everything's in place, then it easily and very quickly becomes one of the things that a buyer will hone in on very early on
If they're
and
smart,
could
if they're
ultimately, yeah,
yeah, because they don't want to,
yeah, if they're smart.
yeah, yeah, if they're smart. And that's what you want. You actually want smart buyers. We're talking offline again about owners. We're trying to educate owners to understand that, okay, if you think about like fast food, if you want the buyer for the McDonald's burger, which I love McDonald's burgers. I'm a fat guy, so I like burgers. But we understand that customer base, okay, that they got the Happy Meal, the dollar menu, versus like the Five Guys or the In and Out or whatever the top line burger chain is. It's just a different buyer that's regularly going to consume that. And so when you go to sell, what you want to do is sell to the buyer who has the most money and will pay the most, and it's a different tier. And so if you sell to a buyer who's not concerned about this S-Corp election and will it transfer right or not, they're probably not going to give you the most money because they don't understand the risk that they're incurring, right? So if they don't understand the risk, then I mean, unless they just got, it's a billionaire's kid who's just writing checks, they don't understand what they're going to do and probably going to give you a lower valuation than you actually deserve.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's counterintuitive, right? At the end of the day, because you want, and I think this is the point you're really honing in on here, right? Like you want somebody who's going to ask those hard questions, that a buyer who is going to run due diligence on you as a seller, that is going to address these questions about you as if your company is structured as an S corporation, because those are the business buyers that are really savvy. They're going to be strong owners when they take over. And most importantly, when we think about it, and this is the thing I advise sellers on whenever I'm counseling them, right? Is that selling is a very emotional process as well for a lot of business owners, right? You've built this company over 10, 15, 30 years, and you want to make sure that the legacy that you've created is going to be carried on